Hey there, it's Tim O'Keefe, Senior Living Radio. I am here with the one, the only Austin Evans. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, why I have Austin on today is he's the president of CRH Northwest. And he started off in the business, actually in a whole different world that you got to explain to me. 2008 analysts increasing the level of sophistication in the company's underwriting and analysis. That's what you basically serve as now as president. But you started off back in the day, a math head at at Pepperdine, and from there you taught high school. So how do you go from high school and now you're running senior living centers?
Yeah, I don't know if it's got an easy thread to follow, but we'll try. Yes, absolutely love math. Still love numbers more than just about anything. So at Pepperdine, I majored in math and got my degree in math, and I also at the same time was playing baseball there, and I didn't want to continue with math because my grades probably weren't good enough to go into grad school. I started pursuing education to do that beyond baseball, which is what my first career out of after baseball was. I was a school teacher, high school math teacher, of course, and I loved it. I love managing classrooms. I love just working with all kinds of different personalities and age groups. So I was enjoying that career for 7 years when I got the call from my father-in-law and his partner, who were supposedly making a killing buying and selling apartments. And it was about that time we started having children, my wife and I, and we were far, far away from family, and we weighed the pros and cons. Should we move closer to the kids' grandparents? Should we look at a new career path? I love teaching, but it was my wife's a stay-at-home mom, and to be on single income, it's tough to be a public school teacher. I admire everybody who does that, and this was an opportunity that was too good to pass up, to learn from two guys that knew so much about real estate and business world, and take me under their wing without me having to suffer financially. They were going to give me a salary to start. Well, I did all their math for them. I built an underwriting model that we all used to buy and evaluate apartments. But that was 2008, and the market just fell apart. So especially for apartments, so we actually did not do much buying and selling. We had purchased a few. I was just mostly on the evaluating new opportunities and not getting anywhere. But we needed some cash, so I learned to manage the apartments, and so we took over management. And through that, I realized, as much as I love crunching numbers, I enjoy working with people more. And so managing the business side was my favorite part of the real estate business. So that kind of connects to how did we get into what we're doing now, which is senior living. And it has, as you probably know, it has a much heavier management component, right? It's a big operating business, and I gravitated towards that the first opportunity we got, and working with a staff at that time, I think about 40 people. Just loved it. I love the dynamic, overseeing all the ins and outs of the operations, learning everything I could about senior living. That was about 2010. I think that's when that started. So we've been doing it for the last 13 years in the senior living world, managing. Now we have 6 communities that we own and operate. And I'm at one of them now for this podcast, and just enjoy it so much, being around the staff and the residents.
So your various facilities are in Washington and in Oregon, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So tell me, what is senior living? What does that mean? What do these facilities do?
Yeah. So much like apartments, it's economies of scale. You can, if you live in an apartment, you don't have to pay as much as you do if you have a mortgage, usually, right? But you have all the resources that you need. You've got, besides all the utilities and access to food and services, you've got a community around you, and there's a lot of value in that, especially as one ages. One of the biggest factors in death of the seniors is isolation. There are a lot of studies that show what isolation does. And so as much as maybe you or I think, I just love, once I'm retired, just to live out all by myself, take care of my own home, there comes a point in our lives where that becomes impractical. And perhaps we have family members or loved ones that would kind of stop in every once in a while to check on us. That becomes a burden. As much as the family members love checking in on you, it becomes a real burden, especially if you fall or if you aren't able to manage your own medications. And so the whole concept of senior living or congregate housing for seniors, or people that need a little bit of help, it's affordable, much more affordable than living on your own. You've got access to nurses, caregivers, med techs, a kitchen staff, activities directors, housekeeping, maintenance. All those things are at your fingertips, and there are usually nice, really welcoming common areas for families to visit. So it's they're not spending all their time cleaning up messes or organizing shelves. You can actually visit and enjoy the company. And we see that every day. And there's just wonderful reunions happening all the time in our buildings between our residents and people they've known their whole lives. And so just it's a lifestyle that I think a lot of people don't plan on ever having to live, but it's an innovation. It's not that old. The whole concept of senior living is not that old. In terms of choosing somewhere to live for retirement. I mean, hospitals and nursing homes have been around a while, but actually choosing to say, I want to live in a community of people my age and my age bracket, similar needs, similar desires, and not have to spend my whole entire retirement or my children's inheritance on just trying to keep me alive. It's a pretty good lifestyle.
So as an adult child, right? I've said this before. They never gave us an owner's manual. You get it in the mid 50s and all of a sudden issues come on your parents. Hopefully not, but in my case, I'll tell you, I lost my mom. My dad went downhill he just was ruined within 3 years. He just mentally, just like you said, you're not with somebody. They're together 50 years. Now mom is gone. Now dad is, we tried to get up there, tried to be around him. It's not the same, right? It's not the same. He ended up stroking out and ends up in the hospital. They saved him. And then he goes to, I think it technically was a nursing home. I didn't, yeah. And which is not the same, or is it the
No,
same?
and
Let's
a lot of
delineate
people don't
that.
know that. Yeah, a lot of people confuse it because nursing homes are what have been around for 100 years or so. It's not a hospital bed, but it's got a hospital bed in it, right? A lot of skilled nursing homes, they call them in our industry, but those providers are kind of changing the look and feel of those to be less a home, because they're really not a home. Nobody stays there longer than a couple months, but more of a rehab assignment. So a lot of them are calling them rehab facilities, which is a step between the hospital and home. It's not their home. It's not their address. Their mail's not going to arrive there. That's what a nursing home is, even though it's a misnomer. It's confusing because the federal government doesn't understand the differences very well, and they call nursing homes long-term care. But what they mean by long-term care is generally 60 days. What we're doing is, you could call it permanent, right? It is a real home. It is long-term. It's for somebody to live their final days. If it's 20 years, 30 years, that's fine. I mean, there's a lot going on in our communities that is so attractive. The nursing part, the care part, is often kind of behind the scenes, or it's something that's there, right? I got 20 medications I got to get today, and I need help with that. Or I need help showering, or toileting. All those things are real needs when you get older, and we all have to face that when we get older. But it's the life of the community is in the activities and the dining and the outings, just in the relationships.
Yeah, I suggest anybody watching this go and check out some of the Facebooks and the Google profiles for pictures and videos. I mean, there's activities going on. The one that kind of blew me away that comes to mind, down the street from one of the facilities down the way is a casino, and you guys had a casino day, field trip, I guess you can call it. So there are real real activities happening.
I want to say that might not have been a real casino trip. That might have been one of those, fundraiser type things we do.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know. I might have to do some investigating to see what was going on there. But yeah, I mean, we go to sporting events. We had a float and a parade not that long ago. Like I said, the community. I mean, we kind of open, like, hey, what do people want to do, right? And we have all of our ideas. But if somebody says, I have never been to a Seahawks game before, let's get a bus to the Seahawks game.
How sweet is that?
Yeah, so it's a good time. I mean, listen, we our daily lives, really, it's not about big events, right? We can't do big events every day of the year. That's impractical.
Right.
For me, I've got a simple mindset about it. I'm hopefully a long way from retirement and needing assistance for daily living. But at the end of the day, I think my desires will be the same. I just want to be around people I really like and enjoy, and I know that will take care of me, and I'll take care of them as best as I can. And then, yeah, we can go have some fun, doing some activities together. But I'd be satisfied if I had people around me that really knew me well, and I knew them. And that is what we're really trying to do with our communities. It is a community. It's about relationships, and between residents, but also our staff. I mean, our staff, I'm just so amazed. One of my favorite things about this industry is the heart and soul of our staff members, especially thinking back to the hardest days of COVID. That we had staff that were sleeping in the building and risking, with the time, we didn't know what we were risking, right? We thought we could all die from it, but they were willing to do anything it took to take care of our residents. And it's just amazing. It's an amazing group of people to be around, is the staff that we have.
What goes into a staff at a typical facility? Who is the person taking care of my parents, right?
Yeah, well, it's a team effort, of course. Usually in our buildings, so our buildings are licensed. All of our buildings are licensed through the state, which means we can provide care in our buildings, nursing care. Unlike there are unlicensed buildings as well. We don't own any of those right now. We certainly wouldn't rule it out in the future, where the care would happen if there's needed care. It wouldn't happen in the building, or it would happen with a third-party provider. So we provide in our buildings, our licensed buildings, we provide all kinds of staff. So when it comes to meals, for example, we have a kitchen staff, servers, cooks, a chef. The director who's planning all the meals and interacting with the residents. What are your favorite things? Let's get that on the menu, and of course, make sure it's healthy and nutritious. But really, I think what you're getting at is the day-to-day, what we call caregivers or care managers. They're the ones that come when they're needed. They're the ones that are always there 24/7. Right? We've got 3 shifts usually, 3 8-hour shifts. 24-hour coverage on the weekends, on holidays, all throughout the year. And these people, what they go through as far as when there's weather, when there's sicknesses, they are there to lift, to carry, to walk with, to push on a wheelchair if needed, just to spend time with our residents. So in some of our buildings, these folks have a degree or a license. Could be a certified nursing assistant. In Washington, there's a HCA is a license they can have. If they don't have a license, and we can train them, we have amazing training programs for these folks. So I'd say, to get at your question, who are the people that are interacting and building relationships with our residents? It really starts with the caregivers.
Awesome. What as an adult child, what should I prepare for? Big question, I know, but how should I think about?
There's so many different ways I could answer that question. We really don't have a clue what our futures hold, right?
Right.
Especially with it when it comes to finances. I think there's a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen to entitlements in the future, especially when you and I get to that age. So preparing, I'd say one of our mottos is life keeps getting better. And if you can wrap your head around that, I'm not trying to fool anybody when I say that's the way I live my life. If 10 years from now, I can't walk, or I'm in extreme pain as I age, that doesn't mean my life is getting worse. There's a way, if my mind is wrapped around that concept of life can get better, I'm going to want to share that life that I have with people around me. I'm not going to go down, I hope, into a hole of depression and anxiety because I'm aging. It's a wonderful part of life. And I know this because, I have family and friends around me all the time that are going through the later stages of life, and they're dealing with cancers and pain. But they're joyful people, truly, the ones I've surrounded myself with. They are, I want to live my life like theirs. I can probably lift more than them. I can probably run faster than them. But the keys to the joy in the later years are in something different than what you can do physically. So wrapping your head around that, I think, is step one. And I mentioned the financial piece. I'd say prepare. It's going to cost a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to live, and it costs a lot of money to age. And it's not always going to be given to us. There's a lot of things to prepare for, but I would, if you're my age, and if you're in your 40s or 50s, and you're probably not thinking about that too much, I'd start thinking about it.
Interesting.
Saving up. Mm-hmm.
What kind of special needs pop up? I mean, the most obvious one at these sorts of facilities that I would think of is Alzheimer's or dementia, and I don't know one from the other, so maybe you could explain that. But there's got to be other things that are typical that elderly people face.
Yeah. Oh man. And I am not a nurse. I've been around nurses for many years now, and I try to glean as much as I can. It seems like I'm helping with we have an assessment tool that we use in our company, and our nurses have helped design that over the years. And it seems, and I help with it, get into our system. I'm always adding more diagnoses, and that list is pretty long. So there's a number of factors, a number of things that people need care for.
They're humans, right? I guess it's just
Yeah.
diverse. It is what it
So
is.
so the needs are assessed, and very minimal. It could be medication administration, showering, laundry, table service, um, how to serve their food. Does it need to be served a certain way? Does it need to be cut up into smaller proportions, or all kinds of things that go into a care plan, a service plan. But you asked about dementia, and we have dedicated dementia wings of our buildings. Even have a building that is all memory care or dementia, same thing. Alzheimer's, a lot of people don't know that's a diagnosis that is usually given after someone passes away, because it's not something usually you can tell. I don't know if there's ever been a case that's been diagnosed before somebody's died. You just assume, well, it must be Alzheimer's, but it's a disease of the brain that isn't improvable necessarily until you start cutting open somebody's skull. So dementia, memory care, memory loss. There's a lot of different ways people develop that. There's not just one kind of dementia.
Yeah.
So yeah, each of these needs, each of these situations requires knowledge and a special plan of care.
So what about visitation? You said a little bit about that earlier. I know when I visited my dad, it was normally during the day just because I had to drive a little bit of time to get there. Do I get to go in there 24/7, or how does that work?
I mean, you could. I don't know why you'd show up at 2 a.m.
I know.
Hopefully they'll be in bed. Yeah, our doors are open. We've got staff there that would let you in the wee hours of the night if you wanted to come. It's nice when you make it's nice when you make an appointment,
Right. Right.
But no, it's in our buildings. It's a home. It's a neighborhood. It's a community. We do ask people to sign in, especially since COVID. We were required as a licensed facility to screen residents, not resident visitors and vendors for their temperatures. We don't need to do that anymore, but we do sign visitors in, and we have a concierge that usually helps them find what they need. We've got chaplains that come in. We've got entertainers that come in as visitors, and even former staff members that had to, they retired or moved, and they moved on, and they built relationships with our residents. Heck, we even have residents who are the parents of staff members. That happens from time to time. They love the buildings. Our staff, they said, you know what, this is where I would want my parents to retire. So that happens.
So it's a family sounding more and more a community, familial sort of community.
Yeah, I
communities.
Yeah, and I'm painting a pretty idyllic picture of it all. I would say that 99% of the time people are generally happy to be at our buildings, right? There are times when there are tough things to go through. We have residents on hospice, and hospice nurses are coming, and it's sad. It's sad when somebody is dying, and or with dementia. Sometimes that brings about disturbing behaviors. I mean, our staff are used to that. Our staff knows, it's nothing personal. We understand the disease, but a lot of times family members and visitors don't. And so it's really hard for them, and they'll leave our building in tears and say, I don't remember they don't remember me. And this is not the same mother or father that I remembered. And so we counsel. We have trained staff that understand all these things, and we counsel them. Our visitors, we say, listen, this is hard. We understand, but this is expected. We know what happens with a dementia diagnosis. And anyway, all that to say, it's not always a walk in the park as you age. But I'd say that comfort is a big piece of it. Counseling is a big piece of how you deal with it. But as you said, that kind of that family mentality where we just go through life together, whether it's hard or easy. And at the end of the day, that camaraderie, that companionship ends up being really what's valuable.
And it sounds like there's a whole bunch of compassion that it's all sitting inside of, right?
Yeah, I don't know how we would do, it's funny. We're always looking for ways to be able to provide better care at a lower cost. And so there's all these new technologies, right? I have a son who's into robotics, and they can do amazing things with machines now, robotics. And we use some of that to a degree in our buildings, but you can't replace compassion. There's no such thing as a robot with compassion, or a true, face-to-face relationships. That you're just not going to replace that. So we do invest heavily in staffing. That's our number one expense, right? And we're not looking to replace our staff with robots. We're looking for ways to make the staff more effective and help
Nurse
them.
AI.
Yeah, no, it's a little scary. And I've seen some amazing things, but at the end of the day, when you see the smiles and the tears and the genuine compassion, like you said, that's worth a lot more than any money you can spend on any kind of machine.
What do you have any closing statements that you would like to let the listeners know about you guys, about what you do, why they should get an appointment with you to see the facility?
I could talk for hours, I know, and we need to wrap up, but I'd say that one of the reasons we got interested in this business is because we looked at the demographics. Our country has never seen anything like what some people call the silver tsunami, which is kind of cheesy, but the baby boomers going into retirement, which kind of was accelerated during COVID. A lot of people said, I'm done with this. I'm not wearing a mask to work. You're not going to vaccinate me. I'm retired. A lot of people in their 60s and 70s are doing that. But in the next 10 years, you're going to see baby boomers get into their 80s, mid 80s, and need something. They're going to need support. They're going to need housing that their current situation cannot provide. Maybe they're in a 2-story home. Maybe they're on an acre of land, or maybe they're just in a home that just needs a lot of upkeep. The reason I bring this up is because I know there's a lot of construction going on. I don't think we will be able to keep up. I just don't see a way that there's going to be enough seniors housing for the baby boom generation when it's ready to retire. There's a huge shortage. And right now, not a lot of building going on just because the turmoil in the markets. But the reason I bring it up is if you think ahead, you think, okay, it's going to be a tight market. Therefore it's going to be an expensive market, housing in general, but it's going to be needed. The demand is going to be there. I'd say that, set money aside, start thinking about retirement, start thinking about how, what it's going to cost you and what you're going to need. If you're our age, if you're, well before retirement, if you have a loved one that going to start needing to think about this, they're needing more and more care and attention. I'd say tour, go around, look at all the different buildings. You'll see a variety of styles. You'll see a lot of different operators. Overall, I love this business because there are so many good operators. My competitors are generally really good people. I like the competition. I'm not, I am extremely competitive. I was an athlete, like I mentioned before, but I do like competing against people I respect. And there are a lot of people in this industry I respect. But I would say if you're shopping, I'd say prioritize the relationships. If you walk into a building and you feel welcome and you feel like they generally care, and they're not just, putting a sales pitch on you, start there. If you walk into a building and is brand new and they've got, amazing amenities that seem like that's going to make your life so much better, because maybe they have some really neat artwork or special rooms that are, like a bar and a theater, and those are neat things. I like those things, but you'll get tired of those in a week, a month.
Right.
You won't get tired of the people if they're people you like to be around. That should be a priority, and that's what we emphasize in our company. And I hope that if you're shopping, you'll see that in our buildings, and you'll look for that in anybody else's buildings.
So Austin, how do we get in touch with you to shop and see what you guys have to offer?
We have several communities in Oregon and Washington. You can see all of those on our website, crhnorthwest.com. Northwest is spelled out, crhnorthwest.com. We have links to all of our different communities. We're on social media a little bit, but we're busy taking care of people. So give us a call. Our number's on the website. Happy to talk to you. We'll get a person. Yeah, we're a relationship business. So you might get me, you might get our VP of operations, you might get the CEO, or one of our administrators, but we're all very eager to talk to you, to any of our customers, share our story if you really want to hear more, but we'll ask you a bunch of questions too.
That's phenomenal. Austin, really appreciate your time today. You've taught me a lot. Hopefully everybody can get as much out of this as I just did, because that was phenomenal.
Well, I enjoy talking about it, Tim. Thanks for bringing that out of me.
Have a great day.
You too.